Some critics claim the Quran is a book full of contradictions and scientific errors, and only those without knowledge or education believe in it. But is this really true? Let us examine this together. The critics of the Quran say that this book mentions in one place that the earth was created first and then the heavens, while in another place it says that the heavens were created first and then the earth. They say that the Quran's conception of the sky was a primitive one that did not go beyond the knowledge of that era. People believed that the sky was a ceiling placed above the earth. Critics also consider that the Quran viewed the earth as flat, presented the sun as revolving around the earth, and described the moon as a source of light that illuminates all seven heavens. In other words, the Quran's conception was confined to a very narrow framework, and the author of the Quran, in their view, could not conceive that this universe encompasses more than 200,000 billion galaxies. The critics of the Quran say that it contains strange, irrational, and scientifically incorrect claims, whether regarding the creation of man, which is incompatible with the theory of evolution, or regarding the origin of human sperm, or the manner in which flesh and bones form in the embryo, or in various matters such as where milk is produced for the infant, and other such issues containing numerous errors whose erroneous nature has become clear today with the advance of science. And in the stories of the Quran too, critics see things that are compatible neither with reason nor with scientific facts and discoveries. For example, in the story of Noah's flood, it is said that water covered the entire earth, and that Noah took a pair from every species of living creature onto his ark. Things that cannot be understood or accepted by any rational standard. Likewise, Jonah remaining alive in the belly of the whale, or Dhul-Qarnayn reaching a place where the sun was setting in a muddy spring. All of these and similar matters are taken by the critics of the Quran as evidence that it is not a book revealed by the Creator of the universe, but is like other books written in ancient times, addressing certain matters within the limits of the human knowledge of its day. On the other hand, Muslim scholars hold that none of these criticisms withstand careful scrutiny, and they offer interpretations of these verses that carry meanings different from what the critics maintain. Indeed, they consider many of these verses to be evidence of the Quran's scientific miracle. That is, they interpret these verses in a way that shows they contain scientific facts and matters that modern science only discovered more than 1,000 years later. And they take this as proof that this book was revealed by the Creator of the universe, since an ordinary person in that era could not have known or expressed such things, whose erroneous nature the critics claim has since become clear. So which of these two views is correct? This is what we need to examine as we continue our analysis of the criticisms directed at the Quran. When we see this wide spectrum of opinions, from claims of errors in the Quran to claims of its scientific miracle, reaching a fair and impartial verdict will be a difficult path. We cannot simply look at a single verse and take it as evidence of an error in the Quran or as evidence of its miraculous nature. We must examine every single one and see what their meanings are. Do they truly contain a scientific error, or do they express astonishing scientific discoveries? However, some Muslim thinkers have raised a point here that places a different solution at our disposal. They have said, before plunging into these endless debates, have you ever considered what the fundamental purpose of the Quran actually is? What is the language of the Quran, and what does this book seek to convey? As we explained in detail previously in our discussions on the miraculous nature of the Quran, the purpose of the Quran is guidance. Its purpose is to prepare the human being to attain the special mercy of God. Its method in this guidance is to remind us of everything in this universe as a sign of God's power, knowledge, and greatness, so that through the remembrance of God, we submit to His unwavering will and follow the path He has placed before us to attain His mercy. If we bear this purpose in mind, then when we encounter in the Quran descriptions of natural phenomena and various creatures, we know that the reason for mentioning them is nothing other than a reminder of that fundamental goal. So, when we encounter this type of content in the Quran, if instead of reflecting on its purpose and intent, we occupy ourselves with asking whether it indicates a scientific miracle or contains a scientific error, we have strayed from the goal that the Quran pursues. The second important point is attention to the language of the Quran. The Quran is not a scientific book that speaks in scientific language. The Quran is a book of moral guidance, spiritual direction, and inner cultivation, and it addresses us in a language akin to the language of art in order to deepen its impact. The Quran itself has declared repeatedly that what it conveys are parables and symbols for reminding us of deeper and more important matters. For example, when we read a volume of poetry and find in it a metaphor or a simile, if instead of pursuing the purpose of that simile to understand its meaning, we occupy ourselves with asking why that particular image was used, we will not grasp that beautiful meaning. Or, if in a story, animal characters speak with one another in order to convey a lesson to us, and instead of attending to that lesson, we occupy ourselves with the question of whether animals can really speak, we have strayed from the fundamental purpose. It therefore appears that by carefully attending to the purpose and intent that the Quran pursues, and by carefully attending to its language and mode of expression, we should not in principle occupy ourselves with scientific details in understanding the Quran, neither to take them as evidence of its scientific miracle, nor to discover scientific errors in this text. Of course, a book that has come from God should not contain, even in its parables and symbolic expressions, anything that presents a clear and explicit scientific error. Yes, that is a valid point. But when we see that multiple meanings can be drawn from all of these verses, we should not then take any one of these interpretations as proof of the Quran's miraculous nature or as proof of its error. In the coming episodes, we will examine examples of what has been presented as contradictions between the Quran and science.